The late afternoon sun filtered through a canopy of amber leaves, casting dancing shadows across the weathered playground equipment. A lone swing creaked in the gentle breeze, its chain links singing a melancholic rhythm that seemed to echo through the nearly empty park. The distant laughter of children floated on the crisp autumn air, but it felt muted, as if the world itself understood that some spaces held more weight than others. Clara Hayes sat on a bench that had seen better days, its wooden slats worn smooth by countless seasons and countless stories. Her posture remained impeccable, spine straight, shoulders back, a habit ingrained from years of boardroom presentations and shareholder meetings. Yet her eyes betrayed something deeper, an exhaustion that sleep couldn't cure, a grief that time hadn't quite managed to soften. She wore a cream-colored cashmere sweater that whispered expensive without shouting it, paired with tailored charcoal trousers. A silk scarf, the color of dried roses, draped loosely around her neck. Her gaze found Lily, as it always did, drawn by an invisible thread of maternal worry. The 6-year-old sat apart from the other children, perched on the edge of the sandbox but not playing in it. Her small hands clutched a well-loved plush rabbit, its fur matted from years of holding. Lily's light brown hair caught the golden light, her bob neat as always. Clara made sure of that each morning, one of the few routines that still felt normal. The child's pale blue dress with tiny forget-me-nots seemed to make her fade into the background, a ghost of the vibrant girl she'd once been. Clara's phone buzzed. Another email marked urgent. The quarterly projections needed reviewing. The Singapore merger required her signature. She swiped through the messages with practiced efficiency, but her attention kept drifting back to Lily. 3 years of silence. 3 years since the accident had stolen not just her husband, but her daughter's voice. The playground gate squeaked open. Nathan Cole walked through with an easy, unhurried stride that suggested a man comfortable in his own skin. His leather jacket had the kind of wear that came from actual use rather than designer distressing. Dark jeans. Work boots that had seen actual work. His son Ben raced ahead of him, a blur of energy in a navy hoodie and bright orange sneakers that seemed to glow in the autumn light. "Dad, watch this," Ben called out, his voice carrying that particular pitch of 7-year-old excitement. He scrambled up the slides ladder with the confidence of someone who'd never met a playground he couldn't conquer. His tousled dark hair caught the breeze as he positioned himself at the top, preparing for what was clearly going to be an elaborate descent. The movement caught Lily's attention. She turned her head slightly, just enough for Clara to notice. It was the first time in weeks she'd shown interest in another child. Clara watched as Lily's fingers loosened slightly on the rabbit, her body angling almost imperceptibly toward the slide where Ben was now sliding down backwards, laughing at his own daring. Nathan settled himself near the slide, not quite hovering but clearly present. His warm brown eyes tracked Ben's movements with the practiced attention of a single parent who'd learned to anticipate disaster before it happened. When Ben landed safely and immediately ran around to climb again, Nathan's shoulders relaxed. Ben noticed Lily watching him. Without the hesitation that adults would have brought to the moment, he walked over to her. "Want to go down the slide with me?" "It's more fun with 2 people." Lily's eyes widened. She glanced at Clara, then back at Ben, but remained silent. Her grip on the rabbit tightened again. Nathan approached with the same easy gait, crouching down to Lily's eye level but maintaining enough distance not to crowd her. The late afternoon sun caught the slight stubble on his jaw, the laugh lines around his eyes that suggested a life that had known both joy and something else. "We could use one more adventurer," he said, his voice gentle but not patronizing. "Ben's trying to set a record for most trips down the slide, but he needs a witness. Think you could help us count?" The playground seemed to hold its breath. Even the swings creaking quieted. Clara found herself leaning forward, her phone forgotten in her lap. She watched Lily's internal struggle play across her face, battling with the walls she'd built around herself. Then, so soft that Clara almost wondered if she'd imagined it, Lily whispered, "Ben." The single word hung in the air like a soap bubble, fragile and iridescent. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Her hand flew to her chest, pressing against the sudden ache there. 3 years. 3 years of silence, broken by a stranger's child's name. Nathan's expression shifted minutely, recognizing the significance of the moment without fully understanding it. He kept his voice level, treating the miracle as if it were ordinary. "That's right. Ben, he's 7. How old are you?" Lily held up 6 fingers, still silent again. But something had shifted. The wall had cracked. Number. Part 2. Introductions and character grounding. Clara stood slowly, her legs unsteady from the shock of hearing Lily's voice. She smoothed her sweater, a nervous habit from countless board meetings, and walked toward Nathan and the children. Each step felt weighted with possibility and fear in equal measure. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice carefully modulated to hide the tremor. "I should introduce myself. Clara Hayes. This is my daughter, Lily." Nathan straightened, extending his hand. His grip was firm but not aggressive, calloused in a way that suggested physical work. "Nathan Cole. This tornado is my son, Ben." "I'm not a tornado," Ben protested, but he was already spinning in circles to demonstrate his tornado impression. Arms outstretched, the movement made Lily's mouth twitch, not quite a smile, but the ghost of one. "She spoke," Clara said quietly, the words escaping before she could stop them. "She hasn't. It's been a very long time." Nathan's expression softened with understanding. He'd seen something in Lily's posture, perhaps, or recognized the particular quality of Clara's watchfulness. "Kids have their own timing for things," he said simply. "Ben didn't talk until he was almost 4. Then one day he started and hasn't stopped since." "Dad," Ben protested, pausing mid-spin. "I talk the perfect amount." The normalcy of the father-son banter created a buffer around the intensity of the moment. Clara felt her shoulders drop slightly. She watched as Ben returned his attention to Lily, completely unfazed by her silence. "Do you like books?" Ben asked Lily. "My dad reads to me every night. We're on the 3rd Harry Potter book. There's a map that shows everyone walking around." Lily nodded, a small but definite movement. Clara seized on it. "Lily loves books. She's quite the reader for her age." She paused, then added, "Though we've been stuck on the same few favorites lately." "Repetition's good," Nathan said. "Familiar things, especially when everything else feels." He trailed off, but his meaning was clear. He understood something about navigating a world that had shifted off its axis. The sun had dropped lower, painting everything in shades of gold and amber. The playground was emptying as other families headed home for dinner. Ben had coaxed Lily to stand, though she still clutched her rabbit. He was showing her his special way to climb the monkey bars, which mostly involved hanging from the first bar and dropping dramatically. "He's very patient with her," Clara observed, surprised by the gentleness Ben showed despite his energetic nature. "He's had practice," Nathan said, then seemed to catch himself. His mom was sick for a while before. Ben learned early that sometimes people need extra time and space. The unfinished sentence hung between them. Clara recognized the careful navigation around loss, the way words became landmines when grief was involved. She'd become an expert at those same conversational gymnastics. "I'm sorry," she said, meaning it. 2 years ago, Nathan offered, saving her from having to ask or not ask. Cancer. Ben was 5. "Car accident," Clara responded, matching his brevity. 3 years. Lily was in the car. They stood side by side, watching their children interact. Ben had managed to get Lily to hold one end of a stick while he held the other, and they were drawing patterns in the sandbox. The silence between the adults wasn't uncomfortable. It was the quiet understanding of 2 people who'd learned that sometimes there weren't words for certain kinds of pain. "She seems drawn to him," Clara said, watching Lily actually lean toward Ben as he explained something about the sandcastle they weren't quite building. "Ben has that effect," Nathan said with quiet pride. "He's got his mother's heart. Sees someone who needs a friend, and just decides to be one." A cool breeze swept through the playground, sending leaves spiraling. Lily shivered slightly, and Clara checked her watch. "We should go. Dinner, homework, the usual evening marathon." "Us too," Nathan said. "Ben, time to pack it up. 5 more minutes?" Ben negotiated. a question that clearly had been asked thousands of times before. 2. Nathan countered with practiced ease. As they prepared to leave, Clara found herself saying, "We're here most afternoons. Around this time. If you and Ben." She let the invitation trail off. Uncertain. Nathan smiled, the expression reaching his eyes and softening the tired lines there. "We'll see you around then." Walking away, Clara heard Ben asking his father if Lily would be there tomorrow. She couldn't hear Nathan's response, but she saw Lily turn back to look at them. It was a small movement, but for a child who'd been retreating from the world for 3 years, it felt monumental. Number Part 3. Backstory of Clara and Lily. That night, after Lily was asleep, Clara stood in her home office, staring at the family photo she kept on her desk. Marcus smiled back at her, frozen in a moment from Lily's 3rd birthday party. Lily, covered in chocolate frosting, laughed in his arms while Clara leaned against his shoulder. They looked like the family they'd once been, complete, happy. Unaware that in 6 months, everything would shatter. The rain had been unexpected that night, 3 years ago. The weather forecast had promised clear skies for Marcus's return from his business trip to Boston. Clara had stayed home with a sick Lily, while Marcus drove to the airport. He'd insisted on picking up Lily's favorite soup from the place downtown that she loved when she wasn't feeling well. She specifically requested Daddy's special delivery, he'd said on the phone, his voice warm with affection. "I'll be home in an hour." Clara had bundled Lily up despite her fever, deciding fresh air might help. They'd driven to meet Marcus halfway, planning to surprise him. Lily had been singing softly in her car seat, a made-up song about rabbits and rainbows. The last song Clara would hear from her for 3 years. The other driver had run the red light at 60 miles per hour. The police said he'd been texting. Marcus had seen it coming, had tried to swerve, to take the impact himself. He'd almost succeeded. Almost. His car had spun, collided with Clara's. The physics of it, the angles and force, Marcus had taken the worst of it. He was gone before the ambulances arrived. Lily had been conscious through it all. Trapped in her car seat, watching the rain mix with the broken glass, calling for her daddy, who couldn't answer. By the time they'd extracted her, she'd gone silent. The doctors found no physical reason for it. Selective mutism, they'd said. Trauma response. It might resolve on its own, or it might not. Clara had thrown herself into work with the single-minded focus of someone running from their own thoughts. The company needed her. The board needed her. The merger, the expansion, the quarterly reports, they all needed her. It was easier to need to be needed by people who wanted her strategic mind rather than her broken heart. She'd hired the best therapists for Lily. Speech specialists, play therapists, child psychologists with impressive degrees and gentle voices. Lily went through the motions, drew her pictures when asked, played with the prescribed therapeutic toys. But she didn't speak. Not to the therapists, not to her teachers, not to Clara. The guilt was a living thing that resided in Clara's chest. If she hadn't decided to drive that night, if she'd kept Lily home, if she'd taken a different route, if, the word became a prison she'd built for herself. Brick by brick, their house had become a museum of before. Marcus's coffee mug still sat by the machine. His reading glasses remained on the nightstand. Lily's artwork from preschool covered the refrigerator, all of it from before, when she'd still narrate elaborate stories about each scribble and splash of color. Clara had learned to interpret Lily's silences. The small nod that meant yes, the tiny shake of her head for no, the way she'd press against Clara's side when she was scared, the tight grip on the rabbit Marcus had given it to her for her 2nd birthday when she was overwhelmed. They'd developed their own language of gestures and glances, but Clara ached for her daughter's voice, for the constant chatter that had once filled their home. The therapist said not to pressure her, that forcing her to speak could make it worse. So Clara had learned patience she didn't naturally possess, had curbed her CEO instinct to fix, to strategize, to overcome through sheer will. She'd learned to sit in the silence, to be present without pushing, to love without demanding words in return. But today, Lily had said a name. Ben. A single syllable that felt like a lifeline thrown into the ocean of their grief. Clara pressed her fingers to the photo, tracing Marcus's face. She spoke today, she whispered to the image. Just one word. But she spoke. The house settled around her with its familiar nighttime sounds. The hum of the refrigerator. The tick of the grandfather clock Marcus had inherited from his father. The gentle whoosh of the heating system. All sounds that continued on, indifferent to loss, marking time that moved forward whether you were ready or not. Number. Part 4. First, real bond. With Nathan. A week passed before they saw Nathan and Ben again. Clara had brought Lily to the playground each afternoon, trying not to appear to be waiting, trying not to let disappointment show when the familiar figures didn't appear. Lily had reverted to her usual silence, but she'd positioned herself where she could watch the playground entrance. When Nathan and Ben finally walked through the gate on Thursday, Lily stood up so quickly she dropped her rabbit. The movement was small but electric. Clara felt her own relief, quickly tamped down. They were strangers. This meant nothing. It couldn't mean anything. Ben himself called out, racing toward them with his arms spread wide like an airplane. We went to visit my grandma, and I told her about you, and she said you sound nice and look. I brought something. He produced a worn soccer ball from his backpack, holding it up triumphantly. Nathan followed at a more measured pace, carrying 2 coffee cups. He offered one to Clara. Thought you might need this, he said. It's just black. I didn't know how you take it. Black's perfect, Clara said, accepting the warm cup gratefully. It was from the good coffee shop. 3 blocks over. Not the chain on the corner. Thank you. You didn't have to. It's coffee. Not a kidney, Nathan said with a small smile. Besides, solo playground duty demands caffeine. Ben had already started showing Lily soccer tricks, or what a 7-year-old considered tricks. Mostly, it involved kicking the ball and chasing it, but he narrated each move with the seriousness of a sports commentator. And Cole approaches the goal. The crowd holds its breath. Lily watched intently. When the ball rolled toward her, she stopped it with her foot, a movement that surprised everyone, including herself. You're a natural, Ben exclaimed. Dad, did you see? She's got talent. Nathan moved closer to the children, crouching down. Want me to show you how to pass it back? He asked Lily gently. She nodded. That small, definite movement. Clara was learning to read like scripture. Nathan demonstrated the inside foot pass, his movements patient and clear. He rolled the ball to Lily, who attempted to copy the motion. The ball went sideways, but Nathan celebrated as if she'd scored a World Cup goal. Perfect form. Ben, you've got competition. They developed a triangle, passing the ball between them. Ben kept up a steady stream of encouragement. Nathan offered quiet guidance, and Lily. Lily was present in a way Clara hadn't seen in 3 years. Not speaking, but engaged, her eyes bright with concentration. Clara found herself setting down her coffee, moving closer. I played soccer in high school, she said, surprising herself with the admission. A lifetime ago. Want in? Nathan asked, already adjusting their triangle to a diamond. I'm wearing designer boots, Clara protested, but she was already moving into position. Excuses, Nathan teased gently, and something in Clara's chest loosened at the normalcy of it. They played until the sun started its descent toward the horizon, painting the sky in watercolors of pink and orange. Lily had progressed from stopping the ball to actually directing it, her movements becoming more confident. When Ben scored an imaginary goal off her pass, she smiled, small and brief, but real. Same time tomorrow? Ben asked hopefully as they prepared to leave. Clara caught Nathan's eye. A silent question. He nodded slightly. If the weather holds, Clara said, which was yes enough for children. Walking to their cars, Nathan fell into step beside Clara while the children ran ahead. She's doing better, he observed quietly. Today was good, Clara agreed, not trusting herself to say more. It's not linear, Nathan said, and Clara understood he wasn't just talking about Lily. The healing. Some days are harder than others. But the good days, you hold on to those. Is that what you do? Hold on to the good days? Nathan watched Ben jumping over cracks in the sidewalk, making up rules for an imaginary game. I try to. Ben makes it easier. Kids, they're better at living in the moment. They don't carry tomorrow's grief or yesterday's guilt. Must be nice, Clara said, then caught herself. I'm sorry, that sounded honest, Nathan finished. It sounded honest. And yeah, it would be nice. They'd reached Clara's car, a pristine silver BMW that looked like it had never seen a dirt road. Nathan's truck was parked 2 spaces over, older, practical, with a bike rack and a "My Kid is an Honor Student" bumper sticker that had been partially scraped off. Thank you, Clara said, helping Lily into her car seat. For the coffee, the soccer, the normalcy. Everyone needs a little normal, Nathan said. The way he said us created a category Clara hadn't realized she'd been placed in: the walking wounded, the single parents, the ones figuring out how to continue when continuing seemed impossible. It should have felt limiting, but instead, it felt like recognition. Number, Part 5. The breakthrough moment expanded. The next afternoon arrived gray and windy, autumn showing its other face. Clara had almost texted Nathan she'd gotten his number for playground coordination purposes to cancel, but Lily had put on her coat without being asked, had stood by the door with her rabbit clutched against her chest, waiting. The playground was deserted except for them. Nathan and Ben arrived right on time. Ben wearing a bright red raincoat that made him look like a tiny firefighter. He'd brought sidewalk chalk this time, seemingly unbothered by the weather. We can draw until it rains, he announced with the optimism of someone who hadn't yet learned to be defeated by circumstances. They settled under the covered pavilion area. The kids sprawled on the concrete with the chalk, while the adults sat on a nearby bench. Nathan had brought coffee again. Clara was beginning to suspect this would become a tradition. Ben seems to have plans, Clara observed, watching as Ben directed Lily in creating what appeared to be an elaborate rainbow monster. He gets that from his mom, Nathan said, then caught himself doing that thing where mentioning the deceased felt like a betrayal of the present moment. Sarah. Her name was Sarah. She was a teacher. Elementary art. Tell me about her, Clara said, surprising them both. Nathan looked at her, assessing. People didn't usually want to hear about dead spouses. They wanted the grieving to move on, to stop making everyone uncomfortable with reminders of mortality. But Clara understood that the dead didn't stop being part of your story just because they were gone. She was light, Nathan said finally. I don't know how else to describe it. She made everything brighter, just by being in the room. Ben got that from her, that ability to just bring joy with him wherever he goes. How did you meet? College. She was painting a mural on the side of the athletics building, guerrilla art, completely unauthorized. I was supposed to report her. I was the assistant coach, very serious about rules back then. He smiled at the memory. Instead, I helped her finish it. Spent all night painting badly while she laughed at my complete lack of artistic ability. What happened to the mural? Still there, as far as I know. The administration decided they liked it after all. Sarah had that effect on people, making them see beauty where they'd only seen walls. Ben called out from where he was drawing. Dad, Lily needs help. She's stuck. They looked over to see Ben at the top of the slide, having apparently climbed up the wrong way. Lily stood at the bottom, looking up with concern. She held her rabbit up toward Ben as if offering comfort. Nathan stood, but before he could move, Ben called down. Lily, tell me I can do it. I need encouragement. The playground seemed to pause. Even the wind quieted momentarily. Lily looked at Ben, then at Clara, then back at Ben. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. Ben, she said, her voice rusty, but clear. You can do it. Then, as if the dam had cracked wider. Ben, you can do it. Slide down. Ben whooped and slid down backwards, his signature move, landing with a triumphant jump. Lily clapped, actually clapped, and then, miracle of miracles, laughed. The sound was small and brief, like a bird's call, but it filled the pavilion. Clara's coffee cup slipped from her hand, shattering on the concrete. She didn't move to clean it up. She couldn't move. Tears ran down her face unchecked. 3 years of silence breaking apart in the span of seconds. Nathan quietly moved to clean up the spilled coffee, giving Clara a moment. Ben and Lily seemed oblivious to the magnitude of what had happened, already moving on to their next adventure. Ben was showing Lily how to hang from the monkey bars, and she was saying, "I can't reach." "Here," Nathan said softly, handing Clara a pack of tissues from his jacket pocket. "Sarah always said I should carry these. You never know when someone might need them," she'd say. Clara took them gratefully, wiping her face. "I'm sorry. I just..." "She hasn't. It's been so long." "Don't apologize," Nathan said firmly. "Never apologize for hope making an appearance." They watched as Ben found a step stool, where did children find these things, and helped Lily reach the bars. She hung for exactly 2 seconds before dropping, but her face was bright with accomplishment. "Good job, Lily." Ben cheered. "Tomorrow, we'll try for 3 seconds. Tomorrow," Lily repeated. And the word sounded like a promise. Clara looked at Nathan, who was watching the children with a soft expression. "Your son just gave me my daughter back," she said quietly. "Kids heal each other," Nathan replied. "Sometimes they know what we adults have forgotten, that connection doesn't always need words, and when the words come back, you celebrate them." The rain finally started, fat drops that splattered on the playground equipment. But instead of running for shelter, Ben started dancing in it, arms spread wide. After a moment's hesitation, Lily joined him, her rabbit getting soaked, her careful bob becoming wild. She was laughing again, the sound mixing with the rain. Clara and Nathan stood under the pavilion, watching their children dance in the rain like nothing had ever been broken, like joy was as simple as water from the sky and a friend to share it with. Number. Part 6. Growing Connection. The weeks that followed took on a rhythm. 3:30 at the playground became as fixed in Clara's schedule as board meetings and quarterly reviews. She'd started leaving the office early, delegating more, ignoring the raised eyebrows of her executive team. Lily had begun talking more each day. Still selective, still quiet. But the words were returning like flowers after a long winter. Tuesday brought unseasonably warm weather, what Clara's grandmother would have called false summer. Nathan had brought a kite, bright yellow with ribbons that streamed behind it like solar flares. Ben ran with it, trying to catch the wind, while Lily offered advice. "Higher," she called out, her voice stronger now. "Run faster, Ben." The kite crashed into the ground for the 4th time. Nathan stepped in, showing Ben how to read the wind, how to wait for the right moment. His hands guided Ben's smaller ones on the string, patient and sure. "Your dad's nice," Lily said to Ben, matter of fact in the way children could be. "Yeah. He's okay," Ben agreed. "Your mom's nice too. She doesn't yell, like Tommy's mom." Clara felt her cheeks warm, caught eavesdropping on childhood honesty. Nathan caught her eye, his mouth quirking in amusement. The kite finally caught air, soaring upward. Lily squealed with delight, jumping up and down. Nathan handed her the string, showing her how to keep tension, how to let the kite dance without losing it. Her face was pure concentration, tongue poking out slightly. "She's a natural," Nathan said, moving to stand beside Clara. "She's happy," Clara corrected. "I'd forgotten what that looked like." "You're a good mom," Nathan said suddenly. "I see you doubting yourself sometimes, but you should know you're doing everything right." Clara felt tears threaten again. She cried so easily these days, as if Lily's voice had unlocked all her frozen emotions. "I work too much. I don't know how to play anymore." You show up," Nathan interrupted gently. "Every day, you show up. That's what matters." Wednesday it rained, but they met anyway. Nathan brought art supplies, Sarah's old supplies, he admitted, and they painted under the pavilion. Lily painted her rabbit, purple with green spots. Ben painted what might have been a dinosaur, or possibly a building. Clara found herself painting the playground, rough and amateur, but somehow capturing the light. Nathan painted a soccer ball with wings. When Ben asked why, he said, "Because sometimes the ordinary things are the ones that help us fly." Thursday, Nathan was late. He arrived looking frazzled. Ben unusually subdued. "Sorry," Nathan said, running a hand through his hair. Parent-teacher conference ran over. Ben's having some trouble with reading. I'm not, Ben protested. But his usual confidence was missing. It's okay to struggle with things, Clara found herself saying, crouching to Ben's level. Lily has trouble with lots of things. We all do. Even you? Ben asked, skeptically. Especially me, Clara admitted. I have trouble remembering to eat lunch. I have trouble not working all the time. I have trouble, she glanced at Nathan, letting people help me. Later, as the kids played, Nathan said quietly, Sarah would have liked you, yeah? She had this thing about authentic people. Could spot them a mile away. You're authentic. Even when you're trying not to be. Friday brought their first real conversation about the hard things. The kids were building a fort out of playground equipment and imagination. Close enough to watch, but far enough for adult conversation. Ben asked about Lily's dad yesterday, Nathan said carefully. I told him that was Lily's story to tell if she wanted to. But I thought you should know, Clara nodded. She'll tell him when she's ready. Kids are good at that. Knowing when it's time. How are you doing with it all? The talking again? Clara considered the question. Terrified, she admitted. Like if I do something wrong, she'll stop again. The therapist says that's unlikely. But trauma doesn't follow logic, Nathan finished. I get it. After Sarah died, I was convinced Ben would get sick too. Took him to the doctor for every sniffle. Drove the pediatrician crazy. How did you stop? I didn't, exactly. Just got better at managing the fear. Sarah used to say courage isn't the absence of fear, it's continuing despite it. Smart woman. The smartest, Nathan agreed, and there was no sadness in it, just warm memory. Saturday they met at the farmer's market instead of the playground. Ben and Lily ran ahead, pointing at pumpkins and apple displays. Nathan bought cider for everyone. Clara bought too many apples, claiming she'd make pie but knowing she wouldn't. I don't cook anymore, she confessed as they watched the kids pet a very patient golden retriever. Marcus did most of the cooking. I've been living on takeout, and whatever the housekeeper makes. I learned, Nathan said. Badly at first. Ben ate a lot of burnt chicken. But YouTube is surprisingly helpful. Maybe you could. Clara started, then stopped. It felt too forward. Too much like admitting this was becoming something more than playground encounters. Could what? Nathan prompted gently. Teach me something simple. For Lily. She mentioned missing her dad's pancakes. Nathan smiled. Sunday morning. Our place. Pancake boot camp. The ease of the invitation. The natural assumption of Sunday mornings and our place. It should have scared Clara. Instead, it felt like releasing a breath she'd been holding for 3 years. Number Part 7. Conflict and distance. Monday morning arrived with a crisis. Clara's phone buzzed at 5 a.m., her publicist. Never a good sign this early. Clara. We have a situation. There are photos circulating. You and some man at a playground. At the farmer's market. The board is concerned. Clara's stomach dropped. She pulled up the links her publicist sent. The photos weren't scandalous, Nathan helping Lily with the kite, Clara laughing at something Ben had said, the 4 of them walking through the market looking like a family. The headlines were worse than the photos. CEO Clara Hayes, moving on after tragedy, and Hayes Industries heiress finds new love. The articles speculated about Nathan, about Ben, about what this meant for the company's stability. By the time Clara reached her office, the board had called an emergency meeting. Richard Harrison, the lead board member who'd always resented her succession to CEO after her father's retirement, didn't bother with pleasantries. This is exactly what we were concerned about, he said, sliding printed copies of the articles across the conference table. Your judgment, your priorities. The Singapore merger is at a crucial stage, and you're playing house in public parks? I'm spending time with my daughter, Clara said evenly, though her hands clenched under the table. Something the child psychologist specifically recommended, with some random man and his child. Harrison interrupted. The optics are terrible. Our investors need stability, not tabloid drama. There's no drama. He's a friend. Is he? Margaret Chen, usually an ally, looked concerned. Clara, you've been leaving early every day, missing optional meetings. Your focus seems divided. The meeting continued for another hour, veiled threats about leadership reviews, suggestions that perhaps she needed to reassess her priorities. Clara maintained her composure until she reached her office, then sat at her desk, head in her hands. Her phone buzzed. Nathan, everything okay? You weren't at the playground. She couldn't respond. How could she explain that her professional life and personal life had become incompatible? That choosing happiness for her daughter might mean risking everything she'd built. Tuesday, she sent Nathan a brief text. Can't make it this week. Work crisis. His response was understanding. Hope everything's okay. Ben says to tell Lily, hi. But Lily didn't understand. She stood by the door at 3 o'clock, coat on, rabbit in hand. Park? She said, the word clear but questioning. Not today, sweetheart. Mommy has to work. Lily's face crumpled. She didn't cry, she rarely did, but the disappointment was worse than tears. She went to her room, closing the door with a quiet click that echoed like thunder. Wednesday was worse. Lily had stopped talking again. Not completely, but the easy chatter with her stuffed animals had ceased. She picked at her dinner, went to bed without asking for a story. Clara tried to focus on work, to prove to the board that she was committed, undistracted, but the merger documents blurred before her eyes. The numbers that usually made perfect sense seemed like meaningless symbols. Thursday, her housekeeper mentioned that Lily had spent the entire day at the window, watching the street. She's waiting for something, Miss Hayes. That evening, Clara found Lily in her room, the purple-spotted rabbit painting she'd made with Nathan's art supplies in her lap. Do you miss Ben? Clara asked softly. Lily nodded, then in a whisper. And Nathan? He's nice. I know, baby. I'm sorry. Sometimes grown-up things are complicated. Why? Lily asked. And Clara had no good answer. Friday brought another board confrontation. Sales numbers were down slightly, nothing to do with Clara's performance. Everything to do with market conditions, but Harrison used it as ammunition. Perhaps if you were fully present, he suggested, we wouldn't be seeing these declines. Clara wanted to scream. She'd given this company everything for 3 years. She'd worked through grief, through exhaustion, through the nights when she couldn't breathe for missing Marcus. And now, when she'd finally found a moment of light, they wanted to extinguish it. Her phone lit up with a text from Nathan. Ben's been asking about Lily. He made her a friendship bracelet in art class. No pressure, just wanted you to know. She stared at the message. At the photo attached of a crooked bracelet made of blue and purple string. Lily's favorite colors. She'd mentioned once. Ben had remembered. That night, Lily spoke at dinner for the first time in days. Is Ben sad too? Clara set down her fork. What makes you think he's sad? Because friends miss each other. That's what makes them friends. The simple wisdom of it broke something in Clara. Her 6-year-old daughter understood what the board couldn't, that connections mattered, that healing happened in relationship, that some things were worth more than stock prices and merger deals. Saturday morning, Clara made a decision. She called her publicist, set up a meeting with the board for Monday. Full attendance required. Clara, what are you planning? Something I should have done a long time ago. Then she texted Nathan. Could we talk? In person? His response was immediate. Playground in an hour? When they arrived, Ben rocketed toward Lily, friendship bracelet in hand. I made this for you. It's your colors. I remembered. Lily hugged him. Actually hugged him, something she hadn't done with anyone but Clara since the accident. I missed you, she said clearly. Nathan approached Clara carefully, reading the exhaustion in her posture. Rough week? The worst, she admitted. The board saw photos of us. They think I'm distracted, unfocused. They're threatening my position. Nathan absorbed this quietly. What do you need? The question surprised her. Not what are you going to do or what does this mean for us if there was an us, but what did she need? I don't know, she said honestly. I thought I needed to choose. the company, or this, whatever this is. And now I think maybe I've been choosing wrong all along. Choosing work over life, safety over risk, isolation over connection. Nathan sat beside her on the bench, close but not touching. Sarah used to say that the biggest risk was not taking any risks at all, that playing it safe was just another way of dying slowly. She sounds wise. She was. She also would have told me to stop overthinking this and just be honest. He turned to face her fully. Clara, I like you. Ben adores Lily. This us, them, these afternoons, they matter to me, but not at the cost of your career or your stability. We can step back if you need. No. Clara interrupted. No more stepping back. I've been stepping back from life for 3 years. Lily found her voice again with you and Ben. I found something I didn't know I was looking for. That's worth more than board approval. End of trad. Lily, number. Part 8. The Choice. Sunday night, Clara sat at her home office desk, drafting her statement for the board. Not a resignation, she'd worked too hard for that, but a declaration of boundaries. Lily was asleep. The friendship bracelet still on her wrist. Her rabbit tucked under her arm. The cursor blinked on the screen. How did you tell a room full of people who measured success in profit margins that some things couldn't be quantified, that her daughter's laughter was worth more than any merger? Her phone rang. Nathan, I know it's late, he said, but I wanted to tell you something. After you left yesterday, Ben asked if you and Lily were going to disappear again. He was so worried, Clara, and I realized we've been treating this like it's fragile, temporary. But maybe it doesn't have to be. What are you saying? I was offered a coaching position. Travel team, good money, but it's in Portland. I hadn't seriously considered it because Ben's settled here. But if you need space, if our presence is making things harder, don't you dare, Clara said, surprising herself with the vehemence. Don't you dare leave. Silence on the line. Then Nathan's quiet laugh. Okay then. I'm going to the board tomorrow. I'm going to tell them that my personal life is not up for committee approval. That I can be a good CEO and a present mother. And if they disagree, then maybe this isn't the right place for me anymore. That's brave. That's terrifying, Clara corrected. But Lily's brave. She speaks even when it's hard now. I can do the same. Monday arrived, gray and forbidding. Clara dressed carefully, her best suit, the one Marcus had called her warrior armor. Lily hugged her extra long at drop-off, somehow sensing the day's importance. The boardroom was full, all 12 members present. Harrison had clearly rallied his supporters, but Margaret Chen looked thoughtful rather than hostile, and a few others seemed uncomfortable with the ambush atmosphere. Clara didn't sit. She stood at the head of the table, hands steady. You're concerned about photos of me at a playground. About my friendship with a widowed father and his son. You think this shows poor judgment, distraction, misplaced priorities. She paused, meeting each of their eyes. You're wrong. Harrison started to speak, but Clara held up her hand. 3 years ago, my husband died and my daughter stopped speaking. For 3 years, I've given this company everything while my child suffered in silence. I've missed bedtimes for board meetings, school plays for mergers, morning hugs for early flights to Singapore. She pulled up her phone, showing the photo Nathan had sent of Lily laughing on the swings. This is my daughter happy. This is her speaking again, laughing again, being a child again. This happened because I chose to prioritize her, to make space for healing, to allow new people into our lives. Clara, Margaret said gently, no one's questioning your love for your daughter, aren't you? You're suggesting that spending 3 hours a week at a playground makes me less capable of running this company, that having a personal life somehow diminishes my professional capacity. She clicked to the next slide on her presentation, the quarterly numbers. Revenue is up 12% year over year. The Singapore merger is ahead of schedule. Our stock price has increased 18% since January. All of this while I've been taking those playground afternoons. The optics, Harrison began. The optics, Clara said firmly, are that I'm a human being, a widow, a mother, and yes, someone who might be finding friendship and healing in unexpected places. If that threatens investor confidence, then we have the wrong investors. The room was silent. Clara could hear her heart pounding, but her voice remained steady. I'm not asking for your permission to have a life outside this building. I'm informing you that I will be taking afternoons with my daughter, that I will be pursuing relationships that bring joy and stability to our lives, and I will continue to run this company with the same dedication and success I always have. If you find that unacceptable, then you should begin searching for my replacement. She gathered her materials, preparing to leave. At the door, she turned back. My husband is dead. That's not changing. But my daughter is alive, and she deserves a mother who shows her that life continues, that connection is possible after loss, that joy can coexist with grief. And that's exactly what I intend to give her. She left the room in stunned silence. Her hands shook in the elevator, but her spine remained straight. She'd either just saved or destroyed her career. But either way, she'd chosen Lily. She'd chosen life. Her phone buzzed as she reached her car. Margaret Chen. That was overdue. You have my vote, and 4 others. Harrison's outnumbered. Go pick up your daughter early today. Then Nathan. However today went, we're at the playground. Ben's been practicing a new trick to show Lily. Clara sat in her car and cried relief, exhaustion, hope all mixed together. Then she drove to Lily's school, signed her out early, and headed to the playground where their new life was waiting. Number. Part 9. Reunion and Healing. The playground was empty except for Nathan and Ben when Clara and Lily arrived. Ben was hanging upside down from the monkey bars, his face red with effort and pride. Lily, look, I'm a bat, he called out, then promptly fell into the sand, laughing. Lily ran to him, her earlier quiet forgotten. Are you okay? That was amazing. Can you teach me? Clara approached Nathan slowly, suddenly uncertain. The adrenaline from the board meeting was fading, leaving her aware of what she'd risked, what she'd declared. How did it go? Nathan asked, reading her exhaustion. I still have a job. Barely. But with conditions now boundaries, I should have set years ago. That's good, that's terrifying, and liberating in equal measure. She paused, watching their children collaborate on the monkey bars. Nathan, I need to be clear about something. I'm not ready, for I can't just… Clara, he interrupted gently. I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give. We're friends. Our kids are friends. Whatever else develops, develops. There's no timeline, no expectations. The relief nearly buckled her knees. I don't know how to do this. Date, or whatever this is. Marcus and I met in college. He's the only I've never had to figure this out as an adult, as a parent. You think I have? Sarah was my high school sweetheart. I'm as lost as you are. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we figure it out as we go. Ben called out, Dad, we need spotters. We're going to do synchronized monkey bars. The next hours passed in a blur of laughter and small victories. Lily made it across 3 bars before dropping. Ben taught her his upside-down trick. Nathan showed them both how to do pull-ups, though neither child could manage even one. Clara found herself laughing more than she had in years, her phone silent in her purse, the board's drama feeling distant and unimportant. As the sun began to set, Nathan suggested dinner. Nothing fancy. There's a pizza place Ben loves. It's loud and messy, and they have arcade games. Lily looked at Clara with such hope that agreement was inevitable. The restaurant was exactly as described, chaotic, family-filled, with sticky tables and the constant ding of arcade games. Ben and Lily disappeared into the game area with a handful of quarters, visible but independent. This is nice, Clara said, surprising herself by meaning it. Normal. I'd forgotten what normal felt like. Sarah loved places like this, Nathan said. She said real life happened in the messy places, not the pristine ones. Marcus was the opposite. Everything organized, planned. He would have researched the best pizza in a 50-mile radius, made reservations. turned it into an event. Clara smiled at the memory. I love that about him. But sometimes I wondered what spontaneous felt like. Now I'm eating pizza I didn't plan for, with people I didn't expect, and my daughter is laughing at the claw machine with her best friend. She met Nathan's eyes. It feels like healing. They talked about safer things than Ben's school, Lily's favorite books, Nathan's coaching philosophy, Clara's early days building the company with her father. The conversation flowed easily, broken by the kids' periodic returns for more quarters, or to show off cheap prizes won from the machines. I should tell you, Nathan said as they waited for the check. I turned down Portland. Before you say anything, it wasn't just about you. Ben needs stability. He has friends here, a routine. And we have possibilities here. That's worth more than money. Clara reached across the table, briefly covering his hand with hers. Thank you. For staying. For being patient. For bringing Ben into our lives. Mom, Lily appeared, clutching a stuffed elephant she'd won. Look. I got it on the first try. Ben helped. The pride in her voice, the easy way she'd called out to Clara in public, these were miracles disguised as ordinary moments. Driving home, Lily fell asleep in the back seat. The elephant clutched to her chest alongside her rabbit. Clara glanced in the rearview mirror, seeing peace on her daughter's face. Her phone, ignored for hours, showed 17 missed calls from various board members. She deleted them without listening. Tomorrow she'd deal with tomorrow. Tonight, her daughter was happy. She'd eaten pizza with friends, and the world hadn't ended because she'd chosen life over work. Over the next weeks, a rhythm developed. Playground afternoons remained sacred, but now they sometimes extended to dinners, weekend farmers markets, Sunday pancake lessons that devolved into flower fights. Ben and Lily became inseparable, their friendship anchoring both families. The board, faced with Clara's non-negotiable boundaries and continued strong performance, backed down. Harrison retired early, his power play having failed. Margaret Chen became the new board chair, bringing a more balanced perspective to the role. You look different, Margaret told Clara after a particularly successful merger meeting. Lighter. It suits you. Clara had smiled, thinking of the friendship bracelet Lily had made for her, now hidden under her professional watch. I'm learning that success has more than one definition. Number. Part 10. Warm Epilogue. 1 year later, the autumn leaves fell like golden snow over the newly renovated community playground. The dedication ceremony was small but meaningful. City officials, local families, and the primary sponsors gathered under a clear October sky. Clara stood with the other donors, but her eyes were on the small stage, where Lily waited with her notes. Her daughter's light brown hair was longer now, pulled back in a braid that Ben's grandmother had taught her. She wore a deep blue dress that brought out her eyes, the confidence in her posture a far cry from the silent child of a year ago. And now, the mayor announced, we'll hear from Lily Hayes, whose courage inspired one of our primary donors to support this project. Lily walked to the microphone, which Nathan had already adjusted to her height during the sound check. She looked out at the crowd, found Clara's face, and smiled. My name is Lily Hayes, she began, her voice clear and strong. 2 years ago, I couldn't talk. I was too sad and scared after my daddy died. But then I met my best friend Ben at the old playground. And his dad Nathan. And everything started to change. Clara felt her throat tighten. Beside her, she sensed rather than saw Nathan move slightly closer, not touching but present. Playgrounds are magic, Lily continued. They're where kids can be brave, where we can fly on swings and conquer tall slides. But they're also where grown-ups remember how to play, where families can heal, where strangers become friends. Ben stood off to the side of the stage, making exaggerated, encouraging gestures that made Lily giggle mid-speech. She recovered quickly. This new playground will help other kids find their voices, make friends, and maybe help their parents remember that it's okay to be happy, even when sad things have happened. Thank you for building this place where magic can happen. The applause was warm and genuine. Lily ran off the stage directly to Clara and Nathan, wrapping an arm around each of them. Ben joined the hug, making it a tangle of limbs and laughter. Did I do okay? Lily whispered. You were perfect, Clara assured her, kissing the top of her head. Absolutely perfect, Nathan agreed, ruffling her hair in a way that would have required fixing if they'd been anywhere formal. But this was a playground, where messiness was part of the point. After the ceremony, as families explored the new equipment and children tested every slide and swing, Clara found herself standing with Nathan by the same bench where they'd first met. It had been preserved and restored. A small plaque now attached. In memory of all those we carry with us. Sarah would have loved this, Nathan said quietly. Marcus too, Clara agreed. He always said Lily would change the world someday. He just didn't know it would start with a playground. Ben and Lily raced past, leading a pack of children in some elaborate game only they understood. Lily's laughter rang out, full and unrestrained. The sound of a child who'd found her way back to joy. I've been thinking, Nathan said, his tone careful. Ben's been asking if we could have family dinners more often. All four of us. Clara looked at him, reading the question beneath the statement. Over the past year, they'd moved slowly, carefully, building something that neither quite had words for, not replacing what they'd lost, but creating something new alongside it. I'd like that, she said simply. Lily would too. And you? Nathan asked, finally meeting her eyes. What would you like? Clara thought about the year behind them, the slow return of Lily's voice, Ben's unwavering friendship, Nathan's steady presence. The way grief had softened into something bearable, how joy had crept back in through playground afternoons and pizza dinners. I'd like to stop being so careful, she admitted. To stop waiting for permission to be happy. Nathan smiled, the expression transforming his face. Sarah used to say that happiness wasn't a betrayal of grief. It was proof that love survives. The smartest. She would have liked you, Clara. Would have loved how you fought for Lily, for yourself. The afternoon light was fading, painting everything in warm gold. The playground was still busy with families. The sound of children's joy carrying on the autumn breeze. Ben had convinced Lily to try the tire swing, both of them laughing as they spun in dizzy circles. Clara reached over, taking Nathan's hand. Not a grand gesture, just a quiet acknowledgement of what they'd built. What they were building. His fingers intertwined with hers, warm and steady. Dad, Ben called out. Lily and I are going to see who can swing higher. Come, judge. That's our cue, Nathan said. But he didn't let go of Clara's hand as they walked toward their children. Margaret Chen, watching from across the playground where she'd brought her own grandchildren, nudged her husband. That's my CEO, she said with satisfaction. The one who finally remembered that success includes being happy. As the sun set over the playground, casting long shadows and turning the leaves to copper, Lily pumped her legs on the swing, soaring higher with each arc. Ben matched her rhythm on the adjacent swing, their laughter harmonizing. Clara and Nathan stood watching, still hand in hand, no longer broken parents bound by grief, but a family unconventional, unexpected, but undeniably whole. Higher, Lily called out, her voice strong and clear. I want to go higher, and she did. Reaching toward a sky painted in all the colors of autumn, her laughter, a testament to the resilience of the human heart, to the possibility of joy after sorrow, to the magic that can happen when strangers become family in the most ordinary of places. The leaves continued to fall, golden and graceful, covering the ground in a carpet of warm color. But nobody minded the mess. This was a playground, after all, where messiness was just another word for life being lived fully, bravely, and with hope for all the autumns still to come.